You're insane. Now what happened? I had to kill him.
He's dead? Not anymore.
Herbert West brought a lot of dead people back to life, and not one of them showed any appreciation.
Hey guys, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jake.
And this is Movie Matters. Today we're talking about the 1985 film Re-Animator.
And that's the same guy that voiceovers every 80s trailer.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. I was thinking that voice is literally the voice of the trailer for Night Shift. That was literally the trailer that was coming to mind for me. Which, obviously, classic 80s voiceover on the trailer. Trailer definitely gave a lot away as usual. But it was a good trailer.
It was okay, yeah. It kind of plays the comedy bit a little harder than I think the movie's actually kind of intended to be, but, you know. Yeah,
so that's kind of a good starting off point is it's a comedy horror movie. Obviously, it's October. It's scary, spooky season. H.P. Lovecraft is known for these kind of scary, sick and twisted stories, short stories that he writes. Mm-hmm. A lot of people from like the reviews I read after watching it were like, "This movie's hilarious. This movie's one of my all-time favorite, comedy horrors." I thought it was funny, but I thought it was more sci-fi horror than comedy, personally.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies where, kind of in the vein of like Roadhouse, where you could watch it and perceive it to be extremely campy and like lots of fun and like and funny. I think they were trying to be very serious with this movie and much more, like you said, in the vein of sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it more, but I think this is almost like a shock and excess kind of movie, more than anything. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So I've never seen it before, and I'd kind of heard about it before, but I only in passing, I feel like. And obviously did some research for this podcast and came up with this on the list, and I'm glad we watched it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Oh, really? I did not care for it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
What didn't you like about it?
I felt like we can just jump into it now. Like I felt like the movie was kind of just an experiment in shock and excess, basically. There's a lot of sex, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of twisted kind of situations, and there's not much plot at all, and I feel like they took what normally H.P. Lovecraft is very plot heavy and very very horror centric or disturbing kind of themes, and they kind of put all of that to the side and just took the little tidbit of bringing dead people back, and that's what the movie is actually ties into the story.
It's funny because this movie is a very quick watch. It's about 87 minutes. It's very quick. It reminds me of Cobra, because that movie was around the same runtime, and that movie, we talked about it, had a longer rough cut, or even a director's cut, if you will, of it being 2 hours. This movie, apparently the first cut was 2.5 hours long, so a lot was cut, over an hour, obviously. So it flows well. Again, I think for the 80s and this era, a lot of studios were like, we need something quick and it's got to fill seats and fill theaters, and we got to get to the next showing and the next showing, so it makes money, especially like something like this that's, you know, campy and goofy.
Right.
It's I'd be curious if there is a director's cut, or like a longer cut out there somewhere. But I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It was goofy as all hell, and the practical effects on it were great. And I mean, the acting is not great, but the gore factor, the shock factor, the nudity in it, it's all aggressive. But in my opinion, it was. I guess that's where the comedy aspect comes into effect. It's just how gratuitous it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to read it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't have the right expectations going into it. I had no, like, now I purposefully did not read anything about it. I didn't research anything going into it. But I, for whatever reason, had like a feeling that it was supposed to be more of a horror movie. And I don't know if that's why I just didn't care for it.
Interesting.
But like, I think we've also had very like narrative heavy movies this month, and this one is not. So maybe that's why I feel like it's not as up to snuff compared to the others that we've watched.
Fair. Yeah, those other horror movies are considered. I mean, this is kind of considered a classic as well, cult classic, as I say all the time. But you know, the other ones are like bona fide classics that are not, you know, culty, if you will. They're more mainstream. This is definitely culty. But yeah, I could see that. The other ones are like, you know, name stars, like well-known stars and like well-known directors. I get that. It was super entertaining to me. I watched it late at night. I was just like, you know what, I'm in, I'm ready. And it's a quick watch, like I said, 87 minutes, an hour and 27 minutes. I'm just like, all right, let's watch it. And then I was like, I was going to turn it off halfway through, like about 50 minutes in, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna finish this because this is great. Like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I watched it late at night and it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun. Like you said, the visual effects are pretty good. The makeup is pretty good. It's not like Pumpkinhead or The Fly, where it's like very intricate kind of like effects and makeup work, but it's like very like bloody and gross and like in like all the like Halloween-y kind of ways that like make it kind of fun, like when the body is carrying its severed head around and there's like shit dangling from the neck and stuff, like, it's that kind of gore like throughout the movie.
It's well done.
It's fun. It is fun. And like the production value isn't like so bad that it's like difficult, to like pay attention, and it's not distracting, which is nice, because like sometimes in these kind of campy movies, it's like it's hard to actually focus because like the production value is so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's not that way. It's actually pretty well done.
Yeah. Tying into that and then the gratuitousness, the special effects department went through about like 24 gallons of fake blood, which that's a lot. And one of the special effects guys said that it's the bloodiest film he ever worked on, which is cool. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of cool little things, like them using glow stick liquid for the reagent. That's why it's like glowing and looks like plutonium, and it's I don't know. I found that fun and cool and just innovative in a way.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspects of this that are almost like 50s sci-fi, where it's like that kind of like radiating material and like kind of this like I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like hack science, you know, where like it's like where like some guys in like a room were just like the head's in a bucket, just he dumps blood in the bucket so the head can stay alive. Like, like none of it like really makes any sense, but like it's just kind of like there, and you're just expected to believe it, you know.
Yeah. And speaking of the head, David Gale, the actor who plays Dr. Hill, dude, his toupee in this movie is outrageous. It's so bad. But apparently they had to shave his head, so it's like he doesn't normally wear a toupee, in order to like match the prosthetic head prop, in order to do it super well. So that's why they did that, which is hilarious.
Interesting.
But like, it was so obvious and like distracting watching it and just seeing his hair. It was hilarious. Which, that guy is creepy in this movie, and he does such a good job. And like, everyone's trying to go after the girl in this movie, Megan. Like, everyone's like creeping on her super hard, and it's awkward. You know, like, there's doctors that like, she's like walking by in the hospital, and like doctors are literally like breaking their neck to like look at her. I'm like, what? You know, and
everyone's also like very concerned about Kane, right? That's his last name. One of the main characters. Is it David Kane? Dan Kane. Yeah. Like, everyone's very concerned that Dan is dating that girl because she's the university director's dean's daughter. But then everyone's like constantly like oogling her right in front of the dean anyways. It's like
even Dr. Hill, like when they're at dinner, which is so like random and makes no sense. They're at dinner and he's just like staring at her and like, oh yeah. Like, I forgot what the line was, but I was just like, Jesus, calm down.
He like makes a toast that's like incredibly provocative and like fairly inappropriate. Like not explicitly inappropriate, but like you could infer what he's talking about.
And then, you know, fast forward to the end, and he's like fondling her, you know, sweater puppets, and it's just
as
like
a
creepy.
Head.
And like the whole thing was like him trying to like bang her, which is so horrible. And it's,
he's like,
you know,
50.
Like
he's way too old.
So a funny bit about that too is his Dr. Hill, David Gale, he went to the premiere with his wife, and his wife literally slapped him and walked out of the premiere because of his like attempted rape in the movie, and she divorced him.
Oh jeez.
Like, I mean, I get it, it's bad, but it's like, it's a movie.
Yeah, Jesus.
It's like crazy. I don't know. I guess she thought it was real. I mean, he wasn't the one fondling her. He was under the table. There's no way he could have done that. Rumor has it was the director.
It is the whole ending is pretty uncomfortable. I will say that.
Yes.
It's like, it takes a hard left turn and you're just kind of stuck there with it, and it's like, okay. Luckily, it's only like 8 to 10 minutes of that. So it's
which
not
is,
like,
you know, 10% of the runtime.
Yeah, but
which is a lot if you think about it. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely like I feel like this is kind of a continuation, because you can check me or our listeners can check me on this, but like I feel like in the 70s there was a big push for like excess and like gratuitous sex, violence, drug use, like whatever, you know. I feel like this is kind of a continuation of that, and almost a like test to see how much shit can we cram into this movie and still have it be rated R, you know.
And it's like, not rated R though.
It's not?
It's unrated. Like, it's not even.
Oh, really?
rated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did look up later that after the movie, there's 2 versions of it. One is unrated and one is rated R.
Okay.
I believe the R-rated version was in theaters, and
Yes.
the unrated version was straight to VHS.
Yeah, like video for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know which version I watched. I
I'm
watched
not
it on
sure
like
either.
it was free on Tubi, so I watched it on that. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
How'd you
watched
watch?
it-
Did you rent it?
I rented it on Prime.
Oh, okay.
I want to say
curious.
it gave it an R rating though, but
Mine
Either-
was not rated, I think.
either way, like
There's a-
it's
It gets away with a lot, regardless.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Especially for the early '80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, again, like it's all the effects are great. The dead cat, which is apparently real in the fridge, which is fucked up. That's real. Obviously not it when he throws it against the wall. there's some gross parts in this movie.
Oh, so the one thing, speaking about that, the one thing I do love about this movie is there's this attention to detail where anytime any object,
I know what you're gonna say.
body part, or animal or whatever is thrown against a wall, there's a blood splatter on the wall.
Yeah. What, is it at the end where he throws the head and it hits the wall?
It's like,
Yeah. So awesome. Yeah, I love that. Just the splatter. Just again, the gratuitousness of the blood and the usage of blood is great. The rotting flesh, the Q-tip in the brain when he's tested, like there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
the opening sequence where he gives it to like his mentor and his like eyes explode and are like spraying blood and stuff.
Yes,
Like,
that's the opening.
that's like what, not even 5 minutes into the movie, I think, is you see somebody's head like explode.
Yeah, I love that.
But somehow he's allowed to come to America and join a university.
Yeah. People just get away with shit in the 80s, I guess. I know we're jumping all over the place, but that's kind of how this movie is. The soundtrack and the opening titles are really cool. It's very B movie. It's very well done. Super long, just exactly like Pumpkinhead. Like both movies are very short, and they have long credit scenes. It's like just too long, in my opinion. But it's cool. It's very interesting and very B movie.
It's that style where they do all of the credits up front. And I don't know if that's kind of like, I don't know if that was still the norm, because this was 84, right?
85.
I don't know if that was typical of that time or not. I feel like we've watched movies where that has not been the case in this time frame. But if you watch like the old monster movies, that's how all of them are. It's like 10 minutes of upfront credits, and then the movie starts.
Yeah. Let's see. Megan and Dan looking for the cat was comically bad. I've got that, just like them like calling the name 100 times. Just classic. I love that, just the noises of all the goriness, the bone saw through the heart, all that stuff is great. I like it. The stakes are really good in it. The emotion's pretty good, with the dean becoming, with dying from the guy they resurrect at the morgue. And that guy apparently was Arnold Schwarzenegger's stunt double in The Terminator.
Oh, really?
And like he's been his stunt double on like 14 films, from like Terminator all the way to like Jingle All the Way, which is awesome.
Nice.
There's also another Terminator reference in this movie. The building used for the medical school is the same one as the Cyberdyne headquarters in Terminator 2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really cool. And then another cool reference to another 80s movie. the doctor in the beginning that has his eyeballs pop out that he's trying to reanimate, Herbert West is trying to reanimate, his name is Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
From Die Hard.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah, so definitely a very 80s movie. Yeah, it's apparently like all the actors playing the reanimated corpses all worked out together at the YMCA to coordinate their movements as like zombies, which is awesome. I love that fact, and just the movement's great. There's just all of them are naked, which is so ridiculous. And they're all pale white. Their eyes are crazy and bulging. Just fun. The security guard that's like watching the morgue always
it's like the worst security guard of all time.
Yeah, and the best fact that I love and I read about is the director said every time the security guard leaves, he's going to masturbate. And he leaves a lot. He leaves a lot, and for a long time.
That's true, yeah. God.
Oh, yeah, and then, the whole ending, the whole climax of the movie's great, just with all the zombies kind of coming to life and how Dr. Hill basically revived all of them, and then they all rip apart Dean, Megan's dad, and it's crazy. Another cool trope and throwback, in my opinion, it's technically not a throwback because this was first, but the hero in a bloody tank top or wife beater. Dan at the end, he's in a bloody wife beater, running around trying to save his girlfriend, and it just reminded me of Die Hard with Bruce Willis running around in a tank top. I like how the beginning ties to the end and vice versa with the CPR and trying to revive the woman in the beginning and then revive Megan, his girlfriend, at the end. Yeah, I really liked that. So there's cool bookends, but other than that, I mean, I would definitely recommend watching it. I know you said you didn't like it, but I think it's worth a watch.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth watching, especially if you like campy kind of horror movies. Like, this movie is not scary in like any way, shape, or form.
No.
It's gross, but it's not like, it's also not like realistically gross. So I think people could probably handle it in general. It's not like The Fly where there's like a whole bunch of like semi-realistic or plausible body horror. It's like it's just a lot of people with like blood gushing out of their mouth or other places, and stuff hanging out of different wounds,
orifices,
and whatever. Orifices and
orifices.
Orifices. Yeah. But I mean, overall, it if you like camp, this is definitely like up your alley. I'll have to rewatch it at some point, and give it another shot, because I think I just didn't. I think my expectations were just not right.
Gotcha.
Going into this. I was almost like upset at the end, like offended. I was like, I don't understand why. Like, the more I think about it now, the more I'm like, I don't know why I'm like so offended by this. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like there's not many movies we've seen so far that we've had pretty differing opinions.
This is probably the first one where we're pretty polarized on it.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't tell anybody don't watch this movie.
Fair.
I would just warn them of the typical warnings.
Yeah. Well, I like that it was a good contrast from the ones we've been watching. Because it's. I feel like it fits with the ones we've been watching, though, with the body horror and I mean, that's basically what we've been watching. If you think about it, they're all body horror movies for the most part,
and like very visual effects driven.
Practically.
And practical effects driven. Yeah.
But it's a good contrast because this one is more campy. It's more fun. The other ones are more serious-ish. When I say that, I mean I specifically am relating to An American Werewolf in London because that movie's funny. But but they're more serious tones for sure.
Right.
But I like that we got to watch this one because I mean the next movie is a very very serious tone, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about with it because it's a classic.
The Shining is a masterclass in not just horror movie filmmaking, but like filmmaking in general. So there's going to be a lot to talk about, and it's just so good. So
so I think this has been a good round of horror movies. It's not the only time we're going to do horror movies. As a heads up, we're definitely going to do more because I definitely want to do The Thing and Sleepaway Camp, and there's a whole list. But I hope you guys have been enjoying these and watching these during this holiday season / Halloween season because they're fun. They're fun, and horror movies this time around, especially during the fall when the weather's getting cooler out, and snuggling up under a blanket and watching a movie with a significant other or even by yourself like this is classic. It's a great time. So these 80s movies are perfect for that.
Yep, definitely. And they're not. None of these have been too scary, so they're all fairly approachable.
Yeah.
The Shining might fuck you up, but
everyone has a different level of horror and what they like. 80s movies tend to be, again, I kind of talked about it in our last one or a couple ones ago, where it's like they're not as scary as the newer movies because we're accustomed to this newer style of horror filmmaking. But these are fun and they're definitely worth a watch, and we hope you guys are enjoying this, and thanks for listening.
Yep. See you next week.
Take care, guys.